Chapter 1. The Lonely Ride. Monette was driving his car on a long road. His hands were tight on the wheel. His face showed pain. His heart was heavy with thoughts. He was not happy. He was not calm. He felt like the world had left him behind. He thought about his wife. She was not close to him anymore. She spent her time with another man. Monette felt broken. He whispered, "Why did she do this? I gave her love. I gave her care." But she walked away. His voice was low, but it was full of hurt. The road moved under his car, but Monette did not see the road. He only saw his pain. He thought about the past. He remembered the days when his wife smiled at him. He remembered when she said, "I will stay with you always." That promise was now gone. Monette pressed his lips together. His eyes felt hot. He tried not to cry. "I was a good husband," he told himself. "I worked. I tried. I gave her what I could. Still, she went to him. Still, she laughed with him." He shook his head. His chest was full of anger. He spoke again, but there was no one to hear. "She made me believe in her. She made me feel safe. But now she makes me feel small. She makes me feel weak. I am not weak. I am not." He hit the wheel once, but the sound of the car stayed the same. Minutes passed, but Monette's mind was not quiet. He talked to himself like a man who had no friend. How can she forget me so fast? How can she give her hand to him? What did I do wrong? Tell me, what did I do wrong? His words filled the car, but no answer came. He thought about leaving everything. He thought about stopping the car and never moving again. But he knew he could not do that. Life was still pulling him forward. He had no choice but to keep driving. He remembered when he and his wife first met. She laughed with him then. She held his hand. She told him he was her world. That memory now felt like a trick. He asked himself, was it all a lie? Was she always waiting for someone better? Was I only a step on her path? Monette took a deep breath, but it was hard to hold. His body felt weak. He wanted to scream, but no scream came. Only silence sat with him. His thoughts grew darker. He wondered if she even cared that he was hurt. He wondered if she thought of him at all. The car kept moving forward. The road had no end, but Monette was lost in his own world. His heart was heavy. His words had no listener. His pain had no cure. He was alone in his car, and he was alone in his life. He whispered one last time, "I gave her my heart. She broke it. Now what is left for me?" The sound of his own voice faded. His hands shook a little, but he kept driving. The lonely ride was not over yet. Chapter 2. The Stranger on the Road. Monette kept driving. His mind was still heavy. His eyes were tired. He wanted to stop thinking about his wife, but the pain stayed with him. He sighed and said softly, "This road feels endless. My heart feels the same. I do not know where I am going. I only know I cannot escape my thoughts." As the car moved forward, he noticed something. A man was standing near the road. He was holding a small sign. The letters were big enough to read. It said, "Need a ride." The man looked simple and quiet. His clothes were plain. His face showed no anger. Monette slowed the car. He looked at the man again. Something about him felt different. The man's lips did not move. His eyes were calm but far away. Then Monette saw another line written on the sign. It said, "Deaf and mute." Monette pressed his lips together. He thought, he cannot hear. He cannot speak. He is alone on this road, just like me. For a moment, Monette wondered if he should stop. His heart said yes. He pulled the car to the side. The man stepped forward. The door opened. The stranger sat inside without a word. Monette gave a small nod. "Hello?" Monette said, even though he knew the man could not hear him. The man looked at him and gave a slow nod in return. His eyes were quiet, but they were not empty. The car started again. Silence filled the space. For the first few minutes, Monette did not speak. He felt strange, sitting next to a man who could not reply. But slowly, something inside him changed. He thought, "This man cannot tell anyone what I say. He cannot hear my voice. He is like a wall. I can talk, and my words will stay safe." Monette took a deep breath. He said, "I had a wife. She was my life. But she broke me. She found another man. She left me alone." His voice shook, but he kept going. "I feel like my heart is in pieces. I cannot tell anyone else. They would judge me. They would laugh at me. But you are safe. You cannot answer. You cannot hurt me with words. Oh, I will talk." The stranger looked out the window. His hands rested on his knees. He gave no sign of hearing. But Monette felt lighter as he spoke. He thought, maybe I needed this. Maybe I needed a silent ear. Even if that ear cannot hear. He leaned forward as he drove. His voice grew stronger. "She lied to me. She said she would stay. She said she loved me. But it was not true. She found joy in another man. She gave him what she once gave me. Can you believe that? No, you cannot. But I will still tell you." Monette laughed once, but it was not a happy laugh. It was a laugh filled with pain. "I look like a fool. I trusted her. I gave her all, and she threw it away. Do you know how it feels? Of course you do not. But maybe you see my face. Maybe you know I am broken." The stranger stayed still. His eyes did not move. His mouth stayed closed. The silence was strange, but it also gave Monette more courage. He felt like the car had turned into a place of truth, a place where he could say anything without fear. Minutes passed. Monette kept talking. His words were not careful. His words were sharp. He told about nights when he waited for his wife. He told about the lies she made. He told about the pain in his chest. His voice was low, but it was full of fire. At last, Monette stopped for a moment. His throat felt dry. His hands were shaking. He whispered, "I do not know why I told you all this. You cannot hear me. You cannot speak to me. But maybe that is the reason. You are safe. You are my silent witness. The car moved on. The road was still long. Monette had spoken, but his heart was not empty yet. The stranger sat beside him like a shadow. He gave no answer. He only gave silence. And in that silence, Monette found a strange kind of freedom. Chapter 3. Talking to Silence. The car moved forward. The road was long. Inside the car, Monette felt something new. The man next to him was silent. He did not speak. He did not react. But his silence made Monette feel free. He thought, "He cannot hear me. He cannot repeat my words. I can speak my heart." He started to talk again. His voice was low, but his words came fast. I lived for her. I worked for her. I gave her all my time. And still, she wanted more. She wanted someone else. Do you know what that feels like? He looked at the stranger. The man did not move. Monette pressed his lips. He went on. I stayed home. I cooked for her. I cared for her. But she walked away. She told me lies. She told me stories. And I believed her. I was blind. I trusted her too much. The stranger's eyes stayed on the window. His face showed no change. Monette felt strange comfort in that. He said, "You are the only one who listens without judgment. I can tell you things I never told anyone. You are like a wall. You give me space to speak." Monette took a deep breath. He spoke faster. When she laughed with him, I saw her face shine. She never laughed like that with me. When she walked with him, she looked light, like air. With me, she was heavy. She made me feel like I was not enough. His chest hurt, but he let the words go. He leaned closer to the wheel. Sometimes I asked her, "Where were you?" She smiled and said, "I was with friends." I knew it was a lie, but I stayed quiet. I wanted to keep her. I wanted to believe she still loved me, but I was wrong. The stranger shifted in his seat, but said nothing. His silence was deep. It pushed Monette to speak even more. I am tired of lies. I am tired of being the fool. I gave her my best years. I gave her my strength, and she gave me nothing back. Only pain. Only shame. His eyes grew wet. He blinked fast. His voice broke, but he kept talking. I told myself I would forgive her. I told myself she would come back, but she never did. See, he chose him. She chose to leave me behind. And now I am empty. The car hummed on the road, but inside Monette's world was loud with words. He whispered, "Do you know what I wish sometimes? I wish she could feel my pain. I wish she could see what she has done. I wish she could face what she made me." He pressed his hand to his mouth, then let it drop. The stranger stayed quiet. His hands did not move. His face was still. For Monette, that silence was like a door. It opened his heart. He spoke again. I cannot say this to her. I cannot say this to family. They would tell me to forget. But I cannot forget. She is part of me, and when she left, she tore me apart. Monette let out a long breath. His chest felt a little lighter. His words had found a place, even if the place could not answer back. He turned to the stranger and said softly, "You do not know me. I do not know you. But in this silence, I found a way to speak. Thank you, even if you cannot hear." The man gave no sign, but Monette felt he had been heard in some secret way. The car kept moving. The silence stayed, but it was now filled with Monette's voice. Chapter 4. The Heavy Confession. The car kept moving, and Monette's voice grew sharper. He had been holding back for too long. Now the words spilled out like a storm. "I never thought she could do this to me," he said. "I trusted her with all I had, and she broke me. She cut me into pieces. I am not the same man anymore." His hands shook on the wheel. The stranger sat still, but his silence was powerful. Monette felt the silence pull him deeper. "I cannot forgive her," he whispered. "People say forgiveness heals, but how can I forgive? She took my love and threw it away. She left me like garbage. She smiled as she walked away with him." His chest rose and fell fast. He pressed his lips and spoke louder. "Do you know what hurts the most? It is not that she loved him. It is that she stopped loving me. I can live without her body, but I cannot live without her heart. She gave that heart to another man, and I am left with nothing." He leaned forward. His eyes grew wet, but no tears fell. "I gave her my best years. I gave her all my money. I gave her my trust. I gave her my life. And she gave me betrayal. She gave me shame. She gave me nights of waiting alone while she laughed in another man's arms." The stranger gave no answer, but Monette felt like he was speaking to someone who understood. He whispered again, "Sometimes I think I want her to feel what I feel. I want her to know the pain I carry. I want her to cry the way I cry. I want her to feel the emptiness that eats me every day." He gripped the wheel harder. His words turned darker. "If I could, I would tell her straight. I would say, 'Look at me. See what you did. See the man you destroyed. You cannot fix it now. You cannot give me back my peace.' But she will never listen. She will only laugh. She will only turn her face away." Monette's breath grew heavy. His throat was dry, but still he talked. "I dream of days when she was mine. I wake up and I see she is gone. I wish I could stop these dreams. I wish I could, to stop this pain, but it stays. It grows. It eats me." He shook his head slowly. "I almost wish she could disappear. I almost wish I could live without her shadow. She stands in every corner of my mind. She lives in every breath I take. If she would vanish, maybe I could live again. Maybe I could be free." The stranger's eyes stayed on the road ahead, quiet as stone. But Monette kept talking. His voice was low and heavy. "I am ashamed of these thoughts, but I cannot hide them. I am not strong enough to carry them inside. If I do, they will break me." He let out a long sigh. His shoulders sank. "Now I have told you. You know my secrets. You know my anger. You know my pain. And maybe, just maybe, I can breathe a little easier because of it." The car rolled on, carrying two men. One man was silent by nature. The other man was drowning in words. Together they moved through the night, but only one of them carried a heavy confession that could never be taken back. Chapter 5. After the Ride. The car moved on for a long time. Monette's voice had grown weak. His throat was dry, but his chest felt lighter. He had spoken more in that one ride than in all the past months. He looked at the silent man beside him and whispered, "You do not know how much this means to me. I let it all out. You gave me your silence, and I filled it with my truth." The stranger gave no reply. His face was calm. His eyes were still. For a moment, Monette felt strange peace. He thought, "This man will never tell anyone. My words are safe. My anger is safe. My shame is safe." He leaned back in his seat and closed his eyes for a second. The car reached a crossing. Monette slowed down. He turned to the stranger and said softly, "This is where I will stop. This is where your ride ends." The man nodded once. He opened the door and stepped outside. His steps were steady, his face unchanged. He walked away without a word. Monette sat still for a moment. His hands were loose now. His breathing was slow. He whispered to himself, "It feels like a weight has left me. It feels like I can breathe again. I never thought I would speak like this to a stranger, but I did. And I feel free." He started the car again and drove away. The road was empty, but his mind was not as heavy as before. He thought, "I told him everything. I gave him my anger. I gave him my secrets. And now they are not eating me inside. Maybe I will be fine now. Maybe I can start again." But even as he thought these words, a shadow of doubt touched his heart. Did he really not hear me? Did he really not understand? Monette shook his head. No. He was deaf. He was mute. He could not know. My words died in the air. They are safe. He drove on, trying to believe it. His lips moved again. "Thank you, stranger. You do not know me. I do not know you. But you gave me a gift. You gave me your silence. And I gave you my pain." The car rolled forward, and time passed. Monette thought about his wife again. But this time, the pain was softer. His words had taken some of the fire out of his heart. He told himself, "I will not cry tonight. I will not scream tonight. I have spoken. That is enough for now." He reached home later, but he did not rush inside. He sat in the car for a few minutes. He whispered, "It feels strange. I almost feel calm. But will it last? Or will the anger come back?" His heart was quiet, but his mind was not sure. Monette finally stepped out and walked to his door. He looked up at the sky and said in a low voice, "I do not know who you were. I do not know where you are now. But I will not forget you. You were my silent witness. You carried my confession." He entered his house and sat down alone. For the first time in months, He felt he could rest. He thought, I spoke to silence. I spoke to someone who gave nothing back. Yet I found peace. Maybe tomorrow will be better. But deep inside, another thought whispered to him. What if he was not truly deaf? What if he heard? What if he understood every word? Monette shook his head again. He forced himself not to believe it. He wanted to sleep with peace, not fear. That night, Monette closed his eyes with less weight in his chest. The silent man was gone. The words were gone from his mouth. But the memory of that ride stayed. It stayed like a mark, one he could never erase. Chapter 6. The News. Monette woke up with a strange calm. His body was tired, but his chest felt lighter. He remembered the ride. He remembered the silent man. He thought, I spoke my heart. I gave away my pain. Maybe today will be better. He washed his face and sat down with a cup of water. Then the phone rang. The sound was normal, but it made him stop. He looked at the screen. It was an unknown number. For a moment he thought not to answer. Then he picked it up and said, Hello? The voice was calm and polite. The person confirmed his name. They asked a few short questions. Monette replied. Then the words came that made his heart freeze. There had been an incident. His wife and another person were found. They were no longer alive. Monette sat without moving. He heard the words but could not believe them. He whispered, What did you say? The caller repeated the fact in simple terms. They were sorry. They would need him to answer questions later. He ended the call and placed the phone on the table. His hands shook. His eyes stared at nothing. He thought, She is gone. The words were small, but they filled his mind. He whispered again, She is gone. Memories came fast. He saw her smile. He heard her laugh. He remembered when they met, when they were happy, when everything broke. His throat grew tight. He pressed his palms together. He said softly, Peace for you. Peace for him too. But behind the pain came another thought. The memory of the car, the silent man, the words he had spoken in anger. He remembered saying things he never wanted anyone to hear. He remembered wishing she could feel his pain. He remembered confessing everything. Fear touched him. Did he really hear me? Did he truly not understand? Monette shook his head. No. He was deaf. He was mute. My words stayed safe. This is only a coincidence. But the doubt stayed. His phone buzzed again. A short message asked him to come later for a meeting. The time and place were given. Monette typed a simple reply. Yes. He placed the phone down and breathed slowly. He felt two feelings at once. Sadness for her loss, guilt for his words. They pressed on him together. He said, I must be calm. I must tell only what I know. I must not let fear make false stories. He stood and washed his face again. He wrote a note on a small card. Be clear. Be steady. Speak gently. He read the words twice. They gave him strength. Monette thought of her family. He thought of the people who would cry. He hoped they would find peace. He hoped no anger would follow. He hoped no blame would spread. He whispered, "Peace for all. Strength for me." Still, his mind returned to the silent man. He saw the still eyes. He saw the sign in his hand. He asked once more, was he truly what the sign said? He pressed the question away. He told himself, "Not now. I will not think of it. I will focus on what I must do." He changed his shirt. He picked up his keys. He checked the time. He was ready to leave for the meeting. But before stepping out, he closed his eyes for a moment of quiet prayer. Peace for her. Peace for him. Peace for me too. When he opened his eyes, the room was the same. But something inside him had shifted. He was still sad, still guilty, still confused. But he had chosen to face the day. He whispered, "I will go. I will be calm. I will answer with care." Then he stepped out of the door, carrying the heavy news in his heart. Chapter 7. Fear and Guilt. Monette sat on the edge of his bed. The phone call from the police still echoed in his ears. His wife and her lover were gone. He had wanted peace, but this news did not give peace. It gave him fear. His chest felt heavy again. He thought, I spoke to the stranger. I said words I should not say. Now this has happened. Is it my fault? He stood up and walked across the room. His steps were slow. His hands were cold. He whispered to himself, "No, it cannot be." He was deaf. He was mute. He did not hear me. He could not understand me. This is just fate. But another voice inside him said, "What if? What if he was not what he seemed? What if he carried your words like a knife?" Monette sat back down. He pressed his face into his hands. He saw the man again in his memory. The plain face, the still eyes, the quiet hands, the sign that said deaf and mute. But Monette remembered how those eyes looked at him once in the mirror. There had been something alive in them, something he could not forget. He whispered, "Did you hear me? Did you understand? Did you take my words and turn them into action?" His own voice made him shiver. He wanted to believe it was impossible, but his heart told him it was true. The next day he went to speak with the police. They asked him simple questions. Where had he been? Did he know anything? Did he have enemies? Monette answered each question carefully. He told them he had been alone. He told them he had nothing to add. He told them he did not know more than what the phone had said. They did not push him. They took notes and thanked him. They said they would be in touch if needed. Monette left the station with a strange weight. He thought, they do not know. They cannot know. Only I know what I said. Only I know who I said it to. That night, he could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the silent man again. He saw him step out of the car. He saw him walk away into the dark. He saw his still back grow small. And then he saw the faces of his wife and her lover, lying cold and still. He sat up in bed and whispered, "Did I give the order? Did my words give birth to their end?" His breath shook. His heart beat fast. He wanted to scream, but no sound came. He felt trapped between truth and lie, between chance and choice. In the morning, he tried to act normal. He ate a little food. He walked a little outside. But everywhere he went, he saw shadows of the silent man, a figure at the corner, a face in the glass, a back on the road. He turned each time, but the man was never there. He thought, maybe he is gone forever. Maybe I will never see him again. But his silence is still with me. His silence follows me everywhere. Monette felt the weight of guilt grow heavier. He told himself, if I had not spoken, if I had kept my anger inside, this would not have happened. But he also told himself, I did not act. I did not touch them. I only spoke. Words are not hands. Words are not weapons. Then he stopped. He remembered the old saying that words can kill. He whispered, my words killed. I spoke, and someone else acted. Days passed. The police gave no news. No one was arrested. No suspect was named. Life outside moved forward, but Monette stayed stuck in fear. Every night he saw the same picture, the silent man stepping out of the car, the silent man walking away with his sign, the silent man carrying his anger like a bag. He wanted to tell someone. He wanted to confess. But who would believe him? Who would accept his story about a stranger on the road with a sign in his hands? He imagined their faces. They would say he was imagining things. They would say he was blaming shadows. So Monette stayed silent. His heart carried the guilt. His mind carried the fear. The world saw him as a calm man. But inside, he was burning. He thought, I cannot change what happened. I cannot take back my words. They live now in the hands of another. At night, he prayed. He asked for peace for Ha, his wife. He asked for peace for himself. But the prayer never felt enough. The shadow of the silent man stood at the edge of every prayer. He was always there, not seen but felt. Monette knew the truth but could not prove it. He knew the man had acted. He knew his own words had opened the door. But he also knew no one else would ever know. The world would call it fate. Only Monette would carry the guilt. And so he lived with that fear, with that guilt, and with the memory of silence that would never leave him. Chapter 8. No clear answer. Monette walked slowly through the days that followed. People gave him soft looks. They spoke gentle words. They told him they were sorry for his loss. He nodded and thanked them. He acted calm. But inside he was broken. Inside, he was carrying a weight that no one else could see. At night, he sat alone in his chair. He closed his eyes and saw two faces. The face of his wife. The face of the man she had chosen. They looked at him from the dark corners of his mind. He whispered, I did not touch you. I did not plan this. But still, I feel guilty. Still, I feel your end is in my hands. Then another face came into his mind. The silent man. The stranger with the sign. The still eyes. The quiet hands. Monette saw him sitting in the passenger seat. He saw him nod once. He saw him step out and walk away. He saw him vanish into the dark road. Monette pressed his hands to his head. He thought, was he real? Was he only in my mind? Did I make him into more than he was? Or was he truly listening all along? His chest felt tight. His breath came fast. He shook his head but could not shake the picture away. Days turned into weeks. The police gave no answers. The case was cold. No names. No suspects. No arrests. People said it was a random crime. People said it was bad luck. People said fate had taken its turn. Monette only smiled weakly and said nothing. Inside, his heart told him another story. It said, "He heard you. He took your words. He carried them like a secret command. And he acted when you thought no one could." One evening, Monette walked to the church. He sat in the back and folded his hands. He whispered to the priest, "I spoke too much. I said words of hate. I said words I never should have spoken. And now 2 lives are gone." The priest looked at him with kind eyes and said, "Words are not always actions. Do not blame yourself too much." But Monette shook his head. "You do not understand. I spoke to a man on the road, a silent man. I gave him my anger. I gave him my pain. And now I fear he turned it into blood." The priest did not answer. He only bowed his head and prayed. Monette left the church heavier than before. He thought, "Even here I cannot be free. Even here, my guilt grows stronger." He walked home slowly, feeling each step like a stone tied to his feet. That night he dreamed. In the dream, he was driving again. The road was long. The silent man sat beside him. Monette spoke and spoke, but the man's face never moved. At last the man turned to him. For the first time, his lips opened. He said nothing, but his smile was cold. Then he stepped out of the car and walked into the dark, carrying Monette's words like a weapon. Monette woke with a cry. Sweat covered his face. He sat up and whispered, "It was not just a dream. It was the truth. I know it now. He heard me. He acted. He gave me what I asked for, even though I never truly wanted it. He never saw the silent man again. No report came. No trace was found. It was as if the man had never existed. But Monette knew better. He knew the man was real. He knew his silence was a mask. He knew he had taken his pain and turned it into death. Monette carried that guilt for the rest of his life. He learned to smile again in front of people. He learned to speak gentle words. But inside, he always carried the memory of that ride. He carried the weight of knowing his anger had escaped into another man's hands. He often whispered to himself in the dark, "If only I had stayed quiet. If only I had held my pain. If only I had not spoken to silence." But the words were spoken, and the silence had already answered. The truth was simple and cruel. The silent man had walked away free. Monette had walked away chained. And that chain of guilt would never break. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the hype button to support us.